enough screwing around. I want to get into a serious topic, but that point I was making about collaboration is true. And I think one of the issues we have with this whole millennial dilemma that we've been discussing is that we have not produced leaders among this generation. They want to do everything in groups. They don't want to embarrass their friends or their coworkers. They really, really enjoy this notion of collaboration. And I think the reason they enjoy it is if the entire group fails, nobody really failed, right? If 7 people do a project and it fails, okay, you're one of 7, we're all in it together. Whereas if you are in charge of a project and it fails, you failed. Well, they don't want that type of pressure on them, but I think that is where innovation and success come from. Most people are average. That's where the word comes from. Some people are exceptional. And I think putting someone in charge and having them accountable for what they're doing, and then that means they're out if they don't do well, that's a better process. And one of the knocks I have on public education, these teachers are shocked about my comment that every year I think a school district should fire the 5% of the worst teachers. I think that would just be the greatest thing if we introduced at least some standard of professionalism and exceptionalism to things like public school teaching. And 5% is low in comparison to many fields out there in the private sector. I mean, sales, the number at some companies is 30%. Well, you see who. We get these emails that so-and-so is no longer with the company. It's always somebody in sales. And it's always somebody you don't even know who that was, right? Well, that's because they didn't do much, apparently, and they, But that's the thing. It's a rough racket. It's a rough world. I mean, millennials probably all ought to go into teaching because it's the one thing where there doesn't seem to be any kind of accountability. The teachers, if they get criticized, they go nuts and they wail and whine and put out these emails, get Mark Belling fired, boycott his program, and so on. I dare suggest, well, one of the ways you determine if something is important is how much job security you have. The more important something is, the less security you have in your job. That's just a good line you ought to remember for life. By and large, the more important the job, the less job security is attached to it.